Okay, hi, I'm Neha. I am the PM for Gumfa Road School. I work with Vivek and Arya very closely. So this is my second year as a PM for Vivek and first year as a PM for Arya because she is new to the school. This is her first year. We have students with learning disabilities, speech impairments in the classroom. We also have students with ADHD issues in the classroom. All of them either tested or identified by teachers, but none of us are qualified enough to do anything about it. So fellows have sort of tried to work around it on their own. If I had to talk about fellows themselves, both of them I think had very different experience and vision in mind when they started. Given Vivek was already here and he was always very focused on extracurricular since grade 9, that was his focus with the kids even for the next year. But Arya taught grade 10 in her first year, so she entered very academic focused or oriented, and the school in itself has very few teachers. They've recently got 3 or 6 more teachers. So before this, the other challenge that fellows had to face is ensure to cover up for other students and other teachers if they weren't there in class. This year I think how the vision has evolved is initially they started with a lot of focus on holistic learning for the children, ensuring that and not just board preparation. That's why they had all the extracurriculars, a lot of those things happening in class. So I've gone in for a visit with a couple of other PMs, and I was sort of apprehensive with what I saw in the class. So I entered and I saw a morning meeting happening where Vivek was asking a child to sing in the class. And I was taken aback because I was like, oh my god, it's a grade 10 classroom and what is happening in this class? So sort of trusted both the fellows with the whole thing and just had their back throughout for whatever they were trying to create. And I think that's a good thing that we all can continue doing because it culminated into Sangam and all the student leadership projects that it culminated in. I think if I have to talk about strengths for Vivek, it would be his entrepreneurial mindset. And for Arya, it would be being like a teacher in the classroom. So her technical bit was very sorted when she came here. My area of focus with them was ensuring that Vivek is planning and operating with that vision, action, alignment in everything that he's doing. Because in his first year, he was trying a lot of things. So his school team had also given that feedback. For Arya, it was to think about things beyond academics. How I've seen them evolve through this process is just operating with collaboration and leveraging each other's strengths. Vivek has a lot to contribute around what students need to be strong student alumni. What do they need to be college ready in the true sense? Because the second would be how do you build a community amongst the students, right? Like I saw these students last year operate as individual, independent, motivated people, but I never saw them come together as a family like they do right now. Whenever Suraj was not able to do something, I saw all the kids give him a pep talk, and I saw his performance grow throughout those days of rehearsing, and I see that as an example of what students as community coming together is. I mentioned that there were a couple of new students who entered the classroom, right? And one of those students was a Bengali medium student in grade 9. So she had never ever been exposed to English in her life, and over the 1.5 years, she has been able to cope up so well that right now she's in the highest bucket of fellows, of students performing in the classroom. She's scoring about 70% already. So I would say that's the power that these students have. I think stakeholder investment has been one of the biggest challenges. There are many talented students in the class who wouldn't get the opportunity because of stakeholders, because they wouldn't understand the vision that students and fellows were able to were operating with. How they've tried to bridge that is through, of course, relationship building, being available to talk to stakeholders. So the fact that Vivek was in the school till 6 every day has helped because he was that person who was approachable at all times. The fact that Arya was there every day in school and mingled with the whole community in just a year has helped the stakeholders also build that relationship. For students who are going for the National KER Summit, they were being called back from the airport, and that was also because of like stakeholders not being supportive enough. But fortunately, with the fellows' patience and with the kids' understanding, everything worked out, and they actually ended up being there. And it was a proud moment to see Raghavendra being on the panel with Barkha Dutt. A success point that I saw for the class, or I think just risk taking, right? Like, we don't know, this is never heard of. Techno cultural fest in all over Bombay, never heard of, we've never done it. Secondary students going into another school altogether and coaching other kids, especially in grade 10, and doing so many things in grade 10 in itself is unheard of. And just taking that risk and saying that, okay, we'll manage and we'll balance everything else, but this is something that we want to do for fellows, and like kids, we also want to do this, and we have that vision of Gumpha 2020 that we want to achieve, and we'll do whatever it takes for that. Like, they actually painted that in their class at the beginning of the year, and that's how they've actually operated throughout the year. When the fest ended, at the end of it, them coming together and dancing together with joy because they had worked so hard on it, I think that was a journey for me to witness, and at the end see them come together loud and proud and say that, okay, we've been able to do this, and now 5th October we're going to be back to studies and do everything over there. How independently they operate when they come into this room, how they support each other through everything. They just know that, okay, there's something given to us, an opportunity given to us, but we're going to respect it and we're going to make the best use of it. I think that makes me feel really proud of who the kids have become. I think they're more than teachers to them, and that might be a very common answer to say, but if I had to give you an example, I was working with the kids for, again, the same thing, the KER summit itself, and the approach that I was taking to rehearsal, and the moment Vivek came in and he started supporting the kids in the same, I saw him operate as a coach. You know, like, you are in that moment right now, you will not ask me for this. And that approach was very, very different from mine of being a teacher, and being very, very open and receptive of every idea of each child. They have never shunned a child down saying, no, this is a bad idea. So I think just working together as kids and educators as partners have seen that come alive in this classroom, outside the classroom as well. I would say that's their relationship with the kids. My hope is that their contribution to the city and other students does not stop here with the end of their journey with the school or with Teach for India. I hope that they continue contributing. I've seen them transform an entire school like Shankarwadi, where they contributed. That is a school that was struggling with behavior a lot, and just having students mentoring those students has created a lot of change in that classroom, or even their own school, right? Like, when teachers weren't there, just being there, setting an example for other students in the school and for the teachers that, okay, what can we do when there aren't enough teachers? Can students also be leaders and partners to help us out in the challenges that we are trying to solve together? So they've done a lot, right? And I don't want that to stop for them. My hope for Alria is to continue building that vision of excellence through in secondary schools of what is possible, what does excellence look like in learning. My hope for Vivek is that he challenges all of us to think of how student alumni can be supported going forward, because that's his vision. He wants to keep this community center running and support students post grade 10 also.
Neha,
Thank you.